Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming, Irene, Whit, Amanda. So let's start with a quick round of introductions about yourselves, about how you got into the space, what you're doing now in the space, and anything else about your company that the audience should know. Starting with Irene.
Thank you, Nishant. Hello, everyone. I'm Irene from Bayman. I'm in charge of BD Director of North American markets. And it's very excited to be here to share with you about some insights of our company and what we are doing recently.
Hi, everyone. I'm Whit Gibbs, co-founder and CEO of Compass Mining. We work with about 20 data centers in 7 countries. Currently have about 200 petahash and hash rate under management, all distributed to individual miners around the world.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Fabiano. I am the head of mining at, thank you. The head of mining at Galaxy Digital. We are a financial service company. For mining specifically, we mine on our own behalf, and then we also offer financial services to miners. And then we do make some strategic investments in mining.
Thank you, everyone, for the introduction, and thanks for the excitement from the crowd. So there's a hot topic these days in mining, which is China cracking down on mining. And we've seen that before many times in the past. We don't know what's different this time. And a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure, are wondering which side to believe. So I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts on that. Irene, you're based in China. Maybe you have some thoughts on how legal mining is in China, or how far it is or not it is from leaving China.
So thank you, Nishant. Everyone knows that there's more than 50% hash rate located in China, and actually, mining industry in China have an interesting tradition that we're moving every year from north to south, and as the rainy season starts. You may know something about the rainy season in Sharma province. So it's usually start from April and May of the year and ended by October and November of the year. So those Chinese miners were driven by the lower cost. So every year they're moving from their mining farm to the Sharma province once the rainy season starts. The cost of hydropower is really low at that moment, and it's really worth to do it. And you know, hydropower is kind of a clean power, and some of the places with abandoned hydropower in Sharma province is really poor. They are quite difficult for them to start other kind of economies, but our industry comes in to enable them to use those power, and unless it will be wasted. And they also create some activity economic at that area and create more jobs for the local governments. Everything is about the benefits to the people and to the local government. So I think there's no reason to crack down on the mining in Sharma province for the government. So as the idea of green power and the carbon neutral become more and more being talked around our industry, I think we can do. Actually, our industry put more efforts to drive the whole environment into a green energy usage period. So I think definitely it will help us to advance the process to turn into a green energy usage.
Thank you, Irene. I was wondering what what are you seeing on the business side of things in the US from all the stuff we are listening from China, starting with Amanda?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of conversations with Chinese miners over the past couple of weeks with the regulation news coming out. And at first, it seemed like people were really afraid that it was something that was going to be immediate, based on the conversations that I was having. And then it seemed like they took it back a little bit. The timeline that I'm looking for, like you were saying, is when hydro season ends, because that's when things will get a little bit dicey for Chinese miners. There's 2 things that I think are important for Chinese miners when they're thinking about coming to the US, and that is, the tariffs. So, when you import miners from China to the US, there's a 28% tariff that they're not used to. And then also the price of electricity is a little bit higher at a co-location in the US versus China?
So yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen in social media people saying that there's a lot of interest in Chinese miners looking to move out of the United States or out of China into North America. But to quantify that a little bit, normally at Compass we see $2 to $4 million in hardware requested to be sold through the site every couple of days. When the news out of China started to occur, we saw about $920 million worth of hardware that was looking to make a move from China elsewhere. And the challenge then becomes, where do you put it, right? Because there's really not that much rack space built anywhere in the world right now. And that's where we've really been working to try to help these Chinese miners as they want to move out. And it's not that I think they feel that there's going to be a ton of regulation that comes down on them. I think this is just one time too many, right? This has happened enough now to where they're looking to hedge a bit. Maybe they don't want to move their whole operation out, but maybe now they want to expand outside of China just to ensure that should something happen, their interests are protected.
I see. That's good to know. So it might take some stress off the supply crunch of mining machines, and that's something also that I was hoping to learn more from you on, which is the supply crunch. How is it affecting your business? The global chip shortage, which is affecting the mining space big time from what I hear. How is it affecting your business, in the US especially?
I mean, go ahead, Irene.
Thank you. So, we in such a market, we always face a huge demand, which is quite beyond our supply. And we could say that the shortage of global chip supply is the main things for us to expand our production capacity. But as we have a very strategic partnership with TSMC, and we got, I think, more like supply comparing to the past, and we're working in a way that we can, we cannot just the shortage of the wafer is something that is all depend the whole industry, not only our mining industry, but we just keep to get what we can get from our strategic partner, TSMC, and we try to make it into our latest generation of machines and deliver everything on time from our two manufacturers. We have one in Shenzhen province and another one in Malaysia. And now we're moving more and more capacity to Malaysian material factory to support the increasing demand from North America, and at the same time to avoid the tariff. And I think that's what from a mining equipment manufacturer level that what we can do our best to ensure we just deliver everything more efficiently.
So I think that you guys have done a fantastic job, all things considered. From our standpoint, we deal mostly with retail miners. Our goal is to help small individual miners get started. So we fall into this category where we're not looking to purchase thousands of machines. So we're able to often source machines as we need, because in quantities of 50 to 200, it's relatively simple, right? And we're not looking for large price concessions when we're buying. So we haven't really felt the brunt of any chip shortages, but I know that larger buyers certainly are, because it's hard to get those programmatic orders over the course of 12 months if you're looking to buy 5 to 10,000 machines each month, which really isn't where we fall at this point in time.
Amanda, I was wondering where you stand here, because you deal with institutional clients who buy large quantities of machines. You probably have something interesting to share about this.
Yeah, so we've announced at our last earning calls that we have purchased forward contracts of 1.9 exahash so far for the next year, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. I'm in a little bit of a different position because we have the balance sheet, right, that we're able to buy forward those contracts. And then also help out smaller miners and through our financialization of mining. I think what's really interesting was at the beginning of this year, none of us thought that there was going to be like a large amount of machines that would be easily to become available, right? So this whole situation that has happened in China, I think has shifted how some people have planned things, which I think is good for Bitcoin.
Agreed. Now with a lot of the hash rate moving out of China, how do you see the energy debate playing out? There's a lot of criticism around the energy consumption of Bitcoin mining, and it is common knowledge that most of the mining in China during the rainy season is powered by hydroelectric power, which is renewable. So I'm wondering how that could change with a lot of mining or mining machines moving to outside China.
So I feel, due to the hot topic of like the carbon neutral or green energy, recently we are helping our clients who have demand from China to moving to the United States. I think they're seeking for green power energy from a majority level. So from now on, we're looking for couples of projects, all of them green energy project. And I think we will help our clients to build out infrastructure in the United States with, I think, more than 90% of green power energy, and to ensure we can drive the industry into a green energy level. And in the next few years, we will also working with some projects to turn their power generated by coal into like clean energy, like wind or solar. That's our current strategy, and we are also likely to talk with the people who have abundant green power energy in hands and to work with together as a long-term partner.
Energy consumption is a bug and not a feature, or a feature and not a bug, right? So when it comes to how mining is structured, we're happy that that it takes power to be able to support the Bitcoin blockchain. And as we see things moving, miners are always going to chase the cheapest power, and as things scale, it's going to be renewable sources that provide that clean, renewable energy at the cheapest price. And that's where we see things moving. When you see operations that are expanding in places like Paraguay, right? Paraguay has a massive hydro dam that's going to produce some of the cheapest power over the next 5 years for miners who move there. And it makes a natural home because you have a stable government who's going to incentivize people to use this plentiful power that they have so that they can capture some revenue as opposed to just letting that power go wasted. And we see that's going to continue to occur everywhere because there is such a surplus of power. And I think that this narrative that Bitcoin mining is boiling the oceans or the energy FUD that we're seeing, while it is something that needs to be addressed, I think that us as a community really need to get behind the idea that Bitcoin mining is better for the environment than most people are allowing themselves to believe.
Yeah, we need to be better at our story because it is really using some Bitcoin. Look, everything uses energy. Every single thing that we use requires energy, and it just comes down to whether you believe Bitcoin's utility is important or not. I personally believe that it is. So that's how I think about the energy usage of Bitcoin. Now, the issue is that we can look at Bitcoin at any point and see how much energy that is being used for the entire network, which makes people very upset. And the real problem is that we don't tell our story well enough. So I think that we need to have more transparency on some of the miners that are doing some really cool things, understand where their energy is coming from. And I think that storyline will help us really combat this because I don't see this whole narrative going away anytime soon. The one group of miners that I love listening to is like the Crusoe and the Gams of the world because in upstream data, Steve was the first one. What they're trying to do with like the flared methane gas and turning that into Bitcoin mining is like an unbelievable storyline, and it just doesn't get enough attention.
You touched on a very good topic there, Whit, which was Paraguay. So there are these countries that we read about in the news that are becoming hotbeds or may become hotbeds for mining that we have never heard about before in the mining space. So which other countries besides US and China, which everyone talks about, may emerge or are emerging or are already hotbeds for mining?
So we have a global business development team is looking for the good energy resources for all of our clients globally. We find that recently there's some clients moving parts of their business, probably with second-hand machines, to Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is a place with quite lower electricity rates. But I think the majority, there's some were provided or generated by maybe they're looking for more and more green energy and more stable policy environments. Then some of them will go to the North Europe like Norway or Iceland. I think it's apart from North America, and those two places, the most hottest place they will choose.
You have, I mean, it's different strokes for different folks, right? There's risk profiles for every miner, and certain people are more risk on, certain people are more risk off. So we see, I mean, we get a lot of inbound leads from facilities that would like to list on Compass. And some of those are in places, you know, like Iran, which obviously is a US company we're not able to work with Iranian miners, Georgia, Abkhazia, places in Africa that are starting to come on the map. Libya is one that most people don't think of, but there was a big S9 farm that sprung up in Libya, places in South America. Everyone loves Bitcoin, right? So if you have this ability to use cheap power that's produced in some of these places, it makes sense for them to mine Bitcoin, because what other industry is going to go there? Yep. There's not going to be any kind of factory or manufacturing that's going to come and take that power. It's just there. And you're not going to spring up a big enough town or city to consume it. So Bitcoin's a natural place for that power to go.
To your point that miners always chase the cheapest energy.
Feature, not a bug.
I see it, I usually figure out where miners are building facilities because they are asking us for money. So I see it from a little bit different a perspective, I'd say, than Whit, which is nice because we get to work together and see both perspectives. I see a lot of mining coming up in Kazakhstan, in Russia, those areas, and then Canada. I think there's still a lot that goes on there. Cool. And obviously the US, right? The US. Yeah. I mean, if we think of like the North American mining companies that share how much they're buying in the future, it's going to account for over 20% of the exahash today. So I think North America will be like a massive hotbed of mining.
I see. So now Kazakhstan is coming up often in the news. Now from what I know and what I've heard from other people in the industry who are very on the ground, that most of the energy in countries like Kazakhstan is powered by non-renewables. So how does the energy debate play out with mining spreading in these countries where there is, or Libya? I'm not familiar with the mining farm that you mentioned, but it seems like I've never heard of Libya having hydroelectric power. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love to know more on how in these new emerging countries, where the energy would be coming from. Is it more renewable? Is it less renewable? How the energy debate might play out.
So I think that miners are going to go to the lowest cost of energy period over time because of how just the network works, right? Every 4 years, our reward gets cut in half. And so if you are a low-cost producer on the network, you will stay alive, whereas the high-cost producers will have to shut off. So over time, even if people are using, dirty energy sources, eventually they won't be profitable. So they will have to go to, the lower cost of energy. So I think that this whole energy debate over time will eventually sort itself out because of the incentives that Bitcoin miners have.
As mentioned before, that miners always chase the cheapest energy, and it seems from what Amanda says, cheapest energy will eventually be renewable energy.
Yeah. Same thing happened with data centers, right? This is the same thing that happened with the internet when data centers started to spring up. Same kind of debate. It's just now it's Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has taken that focus, right? We're now the large power consumer that people are looking at. When in reality, I think Bitcoin consumes like less than 1% of all of the power produced worldwide. So, just an attack on non-state money. That's all it is.
Irene, do you have any thoughts on how the energy debate might play out in the future? Anything different from what we just discussed?
I think we keep talking with some with green energy to find a most efficient way to to work out infrastructure with those green energies. I think some green energy, some provinces which have abundant green energies, they are so located in a remote area. So we have to find some really valuable project to build out, to attract more people to come into this area. So as a leading mining equipment manufacturer, we are like not only selling our machines, but to set up an ecosystem for our industry to ensure we can continuously develop together with our clients. And our plan to devote to this part is to find out those valuable projects, and we will take in the investors into this area and develop the infrastructure. And once there's some demands and we can introduce this area, we are doing these things just for volunteer, and we will like first invest, put a lot of our own investment, and as well as like some of our clients who are interested to join us, and to make those remotely area to be well developed, to be ensure it will be very friendly to our industry to grow in that area. So that's our targets within this year.
That's awesome. It seems like whatever happens, eventually mining will move towards sustainable energy. And that's great to hear that each one of you are working in some way towards that. And that's something also that I hope that the audience can know more about. And it also informs the audience on how mining is becoming institutionalized. So we all are aware that mining at homes is a thing of the past. It has been since a very long time now. It's become very institutional, and each one of you are offering products or services for miners or the mining industry. I would like the audience to learn from you on what you're offering for institutions and what, if any, you are offering to retail in miners, starting with Irene.
Thank you. Now North America is our main market, and we have a lot of institutional customers from different areas. We are keep developing the most effective services to support them. One thing is about our policy. Now we encounter a shortage of reefers, so we enable clients who prefer to make long-term plan together, to work together with us, who can have like an annually or even longer contract with us to enable they can get access to the best machine of the world right now. On the second hand, we are going to moving more like efficient repairing system to this area. Like we will put more some abundant quantity of the machines into our partners' hardware house or their mining farm to ensure once there's any machines out of warranty, we can just replace with our machines to ensure they can get everything on rack within the minimum time. I could say that within 1 to 3 days, and to enhance their profitability in a long time. And then we also working with some third-party platform to provide a variety of services to our clients to ensure they can reach to the best financial service and other kinds of service as much as we can.
So for us, simply, we offer everyone the ability to mine Bitcoin. That's what we want. We believe that every person should have one ASIC on the network, and that's what we need to do. So whether you're big, small, institutional, retail, the goal of the Compass is to make sure that you're able to mine Bitcoin.
I hope the audience can learn more, Whit, on how Compass is helping institutional or smaller players to mine.
Yeah. So with institutions, it's generally they want to buy hardware, right? So we help them source hardware from great manufacturers. We help them transport it over to their facility, and if they need assistance with hosting, we'll also help them with that. When it comes to our retail clients, the biggest challenge for them is they don't have the ability to properly vet facilities where they're going to be hosting these machines, so we do that for them. We put all of the facilities that are listed on Compass through a screening process to make sure that they are of the caliber of facilities that should be hosting hardware for Compass clients. And then we allow these customers to purchase an actual ASIC as opposed to a cloud mining contract, right? They own the hardware, so they have that asset that's correlated to the price of Bitcoin. We ship it to the facility where it will be hosted. The Bitcoin mines directly to their wallet. No one ever touches their Bitcoin. We just send them a bill for power every month. And if, let's say, like the early Compass customers bought S17s for $900 in November, they're able to now sell them through Compass for $3,000, and they've mined all of that Bitcoin in the meantime. So they're running a proper mining operation, just like every other big player in the space, tapping into the economies of scale, and they're able to help secure Bitcoin's network.
Yeah, what I love about Compass is that you guys demystify the mining experience, right? It used to be very scary to jump into mining, and they've made it so easy for an average person to just start mining. And they have a very full disclosure, I'm an investor in Compass, but because I liked the product. But I think that they have a really great team that also walks people through that process. Because from my perspective, I started mining when I was at Fidelity. You called up people like mining machine manufacturers at that point, and it was just a very weird process. Like, you have to give money, you don't know when it's coming. It's definitely gotten a lot better, so no shade. It's gotten a lot better over the past 3 years, but from an institutional perspective, it was really weird to do those types of things. So I love that you did it at the retail level and also the institutional level, because it's really been useful. For Galaxy, we offer services to miners of all sizes mainly. We offer lending, trading, miner finance. We mine on our own behalf, and the reason why I thought it was important to mine on our own behalf was so we could really understand the needs of miners. So when we face something, we could then solve a problem for it, right? So at what point should I sell my Bitcoin, right? Like treasury management, those are things that we can figure out. And so we started in January of this year, and it's been really fun. But I think what we're trying to build long term is this one-stop shop for financial services for miners. So I think in the past it's been really difficult. Obviously, Foundry has done a great job at making that a little bit easier for miners of all sizes too. But we're going to do the same thing.
Thanks. That's good to know. So you have something for institutions, and on the retail side, you are indirectly helping people by investing in companies such as Compass to access mining. So I was wondering, talking about retail miners, how easy is it for a retail miner to buy machines from Bitmain's website now? Do they get access, easy access, and immediate access to the latest generation machines for Bitcoin mining from the manufacturers, whether it's Bitmain or some other manufacturer? How does it look like for a retail miner, like someone in the crowd?
Do you mean to purchase on the website for a small scale, or?
How can they do it? If I'm a retail miner and I want to buy a machine from the manufacturer, is it easy for me to do it?
We were using our official website to release some of our new products. I think we'll do that in the future. But recently, it seems we have some kind of sales policy that is rather a long period of time, like a year contract or a quarterly contract. But definitely, in the future, we will considering the demand from our retail clients and put the next few batches on our website, especially for the new generation of machines. Once we have new generation of the machines, we will put on the website to enable everyone have a size to A to have a test. But on the other hand, our industry become more and more like professional, and it may be not easy for a retail customer to operate with a very high inflation or with lowest rate they can reach. So they should take this into consideration, and maybe in the future we can work out some kind of special contract or services just for them. It will be easier for them to have the service in a safe and profitable way.
I gotta hand it to Bitmain and MicroBT. They have been some of the best partners for us. When we go to them and we say we want to sell to retail miners, they generally make allocations available to us, even though, we started Compass in October, right? Like, we're not the largest buyer of machines, but it's awesome to see that the manufacturers of these ASICs believe in the decentralization of Bitcoin, right? They're not looking to just place all of the machines with one large buyer or two large buyers. They're willing to let the network decentralize it by giving access to other people. So even though they may sell out on their site pretty quickly, they work with people like Compass to make sure that retail has access. And we appreciate it tremendously because, let's face it, without ASICs you can't mine Bitcoin, right? So they're a huge help to us.
What are you saying? You're not the largest miner in North America?
We are not the largest miner in North America, but I will say that I would love for Compass clients to eventually be able to claim that they are the largest miner in North America, because that would mean that there's not one board or one decision maker controlling hash rate. It's controlled by hundreds of thousands of individuals around the country.
That's awesome. And that also makes sense for Bitmain to focus only on large-scale customers at the same time because of the chip supply shortage, and so they can plan their business well. If they're focused on selling one piece to individual miners on their website, it's hard for them to even plan this allocation. And everyone suffers because you can't even get access to latest generation machines, because from the chip side, other companies like Apple or other mainstream buyers would be getting allocation more favorably because Bitmain is unable to buy large quantities because they can't plan accordingly. So that makes sense because at the same time, there are service providers such as yourself and others who are able to provide this service to retail miners. Now talking about that, I'm sure there are many people in the audience who are interested in mining. There are some retail miners here, and of course there are institutional miners that we all know who are in the audience here. I was hoping we can open it to Q&A, so we can have them ask you questions directly. So before we start the Q&A, a quick introduction. We have one person from the manufacturers, one of the leading manufacturers in the world. They sell machines, they make them. Then we have Compass, who's providing the service for institutions and retail clients to get into mining, to get those machines that they cannot get themselves from the manufacturers. Then we have Galaxy here, who's providing loans and other services tailored towards institutions and investing in the space, such as in Compass, to grow the ecosystem. So would love to hear their answers to your questions. There is a mic somewhere on the left or right. Where is the mic? Oh, there's the standing mic there in the center of the audience. Maybe someone dragged it inside. It was in the aisle before.
Check 1, 2. Good? Great. Excuse me. Thank you for the presentation, folks. Anton Capella, data center companies galore. Thanks for your information. What I didn't hear mentioned, and you didn't ask yet, so thank you for letting me, is what are we going to do, or can we do anything with all of the low-grade waste heat that we produce by doing these things? What's on your minds?
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Who wants to take it?
You can take it.
All right. So I think that this is one of the coolest questions that has been asked. There's a great company called Mint Green that you should look into. They are using this waste heat. There are a lot of ideas for what can be done with it. I've heard everything from, growing lab rats to having that heat used in the cannabis industry. So I think that it's a big unanswered question. And if anyone out there is interested in it, I'd say that you're ripe with an opportunity to build something.
Just to add to that, this is something that has been done by many people since the last 10 years, but they tried and they failed for various reasons. But I think it's still promising, and there's a province in China where the government is supporting a big project, and they've already started a pilot to use that energy, the heat produced, to heat homes in the winter. And they are running this pilot. If it works, they will do it on a massive scale throughout the province.
The other thing I would say is that I think that Bitcoin miners are genuinely very creative. And they have proven that over time. So I think that there will be more and more that comes out with creativity around these types of products that you're talking about.
I think this idea can be well connected with emergency system in the future, because I think they have a project can use the heat produced by the machines or the big mining containerizes emergency system to be used into the system to maybe warm up some vegetable project, or maybe just provide the the heat for the system in the cold area. I definitely see some projects is running in China in the North Place, and I feel like in maybe next year there will be some interesting projects emerging in this industry, and we'll find some actually cases to deploy this kind of project globally.
Do we have another question?
Yes. Paul Hansen, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Hansen Matet from Ethical Policy Solutions Architecture.
Oh, we can't
I
hear
can't
you.
hear you right now.
How about I just ask it this way, but you can actually hear what I'm asking.
Okay.
Bitcoin mining in sub-Saharan Africa, particularly hydroelectric, and then allegedly, if you can explain in more detail, like in Russia, China, and the United States, miners are in what's called like cooperation competition, like co-opetition, but they work together to get blocks. They know that they have to do that instead of everyone being a freewheeler dealer. Do you think it's possible in the sub-Saharan African space that countries can work together so they can get their blocks with the cheapest kilowatt hour around the world?
For clarity, can you explain the difference between the cooperation and a mining pool? Like how are you?
That's what I'm asking you to explain again to the audience, because third world countries can't do what they do in Russia, China, and the United States. Like Bolivia and Paraguay and Ecuador, they can't cooperate in the same way that miners do in Russia or China, or can they?
So anyone can join a mining pool.
Right.
Right? So, when it comes to mining pools, then yes, right? If you're a miner on the network, you can choose which pool you would like to connect to, and then you can have that same pooling aspect. But I may not understand exactly what...
Well, I want to broach a harder subject, which is in corrupt countries, they can actually, the government or other officials can pay you to use their electricity. So they can go -0 kilowatt hour. That's more likely in corrupt countries than hopefully China. We know Russia, that's hard. In America, that's unlawful. So which countries could you see doing that in sub-Saharan Africa?
So I don't know which exact countries I could see doing it, but Bitcoin is this decentralized network that anyone can join and anyone can be a miner on, right? And you're able to join whatever pool that you want to join. Mm-hmm. So I think that, that's the beauty of Bitcoin, is that you can decide what you want to do. I don't know, and I don't think that we ever should be able to, censor what people are doing in any location.
But to your point, let's talk about like nationalized power, right?
Yeah.
So there are countries that mine Bitcoin for sure,
Yep.
right? Like if you look at countries like, Iran has been out there publicly talking about their support of Bitcoin mining.
Venezuela,
Belarus, Ukraine. There's plenty of them, and they do exist. Now, what that looks like internally for them, it's hard to say because the information is very limited.
Right, but wouldn't you recommend the poorest countries of the world start cooperating in Bitcoin mining?
I would recommend that everyone mine Bitcoin.
And non-peak energy and excess energy should go to Bitcoin mining,
yes.
Right? Okay, thank you.
So I want to add something, because I had traveled in South America for a long time just to seeking what's the condition locally, because like mining industry is not only about the electricity. As you mentioned, there are some places may pay you to come into that area to start your business. But I have experience in Paraguay. They have abundant hydropower and they want to set up their business with mining. I actually visited a mining farm in Paraguay, and I think the hydropower is nice, but the temperature is horrible. I think it's more than 40 degrees in summer, which is make the miners cannot run in the most efficient ways. So if there's some effective cooling system being employed in this area, I think it will be very helpful for them to grow their business. But right now, I see a lot of, I see South America as the biggest second-hand machines market in the world. So I think there's a lot of used machines was sent to South America from time to time, and those, I think they may have most used as nice there. So I could say there's a lot of mining all over the world, but it's just because we didn't focus a lot on that.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm Joseph. I work with the Rockefeller Foundation, and we're looking at how Bitcoin mining could drive electrification in Africa. And to the other person's question, I would say if we could have Bitcoin mining in rural areas, you would lower the cost of electrification. You would make hard currency available so that these companies who are providing the power could buy more equipment. You would make it easier to finance because a lot of the finance is in dollars. The question is, because these are modular installations, would the economics work if you're competing with more efficient, cheaper electricity sources at larger scale? And two, is there a way to monetize the social part so that if the economics are not competitive compared to large-scale industrial miners, you still have a viable solution through a premium on those bitcoins? Thank you.
So we have time for just one answer. Which one of you wants to take this?
I'm sorry?
We have time for only one person to talk.
Who wants to take it? Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so when it comes to the economy of Bitcoin mining, it all comes down to your power input and your cost of hardware, right? So that's going to be the big determining factor. With regards to the social impact that it can have, I think it's also important to understand that looking at Bitcoin mining is more than just looking at profitability, and that it's very important for, I think, us as a community now to start seeing this as a way to generate non-government money. When you're looking at places like Venezuela, even though power may be cheap, there are certain people that are mining Bitcoin in Venezuela, and economics may not always line up, but their currency is devaluing at an insane rate. So even generating Bitcoin at maybe maybe not the most profitable levels is better than holding their local currency. So I think there's a lot that's a lot to unpack. It's a very heavy question. I'd love to talk with you about it offline though, for sure.
Yeah, I would say sure. You know, we always say you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, but you could also mine a fraction of a Bitcoin too. So I think that, as Bitcoin continues to take off, even if you are only mining a small amount, because you have a small amount of machines, but you're using a pool and pooling those resources together, it still will be a great thing.
It's freaking awesome, man.
All right, thanks for the question. We would love to talk to you later after this. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the panelists.
Thank you.